Hey, I'm Ismail Nejjar, and I'm excited to present our work, Diagon, Unsupervised Domain Adaptation for Regression by Aligning Inverse gram matrices. In a nutshell, Diagon is an unsupervised domain adaptation method specifically designed for regression tasks. Our goal was to align the feature of the source and target domains from a regressor point of view. Instead of directly aligning the features, we leverage the well-known closed-form solution for linear least square problem and focus on aligning the subspace spanned by the column of the pseudo-inverse gram matrix, which correspond to the angle alignment, as well as the truncated eigenvalue of the gram matrix, which correspond to the scale alignment. By doing so, diagram aims to improve the calibration of the regressor. Our experimental results demonstrate that diagram achieves state-of-the-art performance on 3 benchmark datasets for regression tasks. Now let's dive into the detail, starting with a brief background. Domain adaptation aims to transfer knowledge from a labeled source domain to a similar but different target domain. This difference could arise from variation between synthetic and real images or different data distributions. In the unsupervised domain adaptation setup, we have access to training images and their corresponding continuous label for the source domain. Additionally, we have unlabeled images for the target domain. Our goal is to improve the regression performance on the target domain. Building upon the insight from representation subspace distance, RSD, an important observation was made. While classification performance are relatively robust to feature scaling, regression performances are more susceptible to degradation, which can occur during the adaptation. Hence, RSD proposed to align the subspace of eigenvector obtained from the SVD decomposition of the feature without altering the scale. In our work, we propose to leverage the closed-form ordinary least square solution as a key element for our method. This solution allows us to compute the beta value using the feature extracted from the deep encoder for each input, as well as the target variable y in the source domain. However, in unsupervised domain adaptation, we face the challenge of not having access to the target variable in the target domain, yt. This raised the question of how can we ensure that the beta solution remains consistent between the source and target domain. Moreover, aligning only the first 2 terms, which correspond to aligning the inverse gram matrix and the feature matrix, is not a robust representation that is invariant to change introduced by shuffling the input data. The gram matrix accounts for the pairwise correlation between the feature and provides a more robust representation that is invariant to the change introduced by shuffling the input data. By aligning the inverse gram matrix, we can ensure that the projected value between the source and target domains remain consistent. Motivated by the closed-form OLS solution, our investigation focuses on determining the optimal regressor for each domain. Our analysis uncovers that despite minor differences between the source and target features, learning a shared linear regressor remains challenging. To provide a visual representation of this impact, we consider 2 different Gaussian distributions representing the feature of source and target domains. Despite a small difference in angle between the eigenvector obtained from the SVD decomposition, the inverse gram operation introduced significant variation in both angle and scale. This discrepancy arises from the fact that eigenvectors from the SVD decomposition are orthonormal, whereas the column of the inverse gram matrix may not necessarily be orthonormal, leading to distinct projection results. Taking into account the discrepancy in scale and angle between the source and target feature, our method focuses on aligning the subspace spanned by the column of the pseudo-inverse gram matrix. We achieve this by utilizing the cosine similarity between the columns of source and target feature to align the subspace. Additionally, we minimize the distance between the truncated eigenvalue of the gram matrix to align the scale for both source and target domain. By incorporating these alignment strategies, we aim to mitigate the domain gap and enhance the performance of regression tasks in unsupervised domain adaptation setting. Ablation studies were conducted on the described dataset to evaluate the effectiveness of the components in our method. The results demonstrate that both components of our method are effective, leading to a significant improvement compared to strong baselines. Specifically, aligning the gram matrix alone instead of the inverse one does not necessarily yield to the desired behavior, highlighting the importance of our approach. Furthermore, our method achieved better performance with large batch sizes. This is attributed to the improved capture of feature correlation by the gram matrix when a large number of samples are available. We compared our result with state-of-the-art method on the disparate dataset, and the proposed approach outperformed all the others. Specifically, we reduced the error rate by more than 30% compared to RSD. We also evaluated our method on the MPE 3D dataset, and our method again outperforms the other approach by a large margin. To summarize, our work introduced a novel method for unsupervised domain adaptation in regression tasks. By leveraging insight from the ordinary least square solution, we propose aligning the inverse gram matrix of feature as a strategy to facilitate adaptation. More details and insights are included in our paper. Our code is available online, and I'm looking forward to questions.